Hi everybody, welcome back to Crystal B Talks. I'm your host, Crystal Bradley, and today's guest is a powerhouse at the intersection of media, impact, and innovation. She's the CEO of the Geena Davis Institute on Gender and Media, a global leader in transforming how we see and who we see on screen. With a background spanning film, television, and philanthropy, Madeline Di Nonno has been on a mission to back data with action, helping reshape an entire industry to better reflect the world we live in. In this episode, we dive into the numbers and the narratives from why representation matters to how media can drive social change. So whether you're a creator, a change maker, or just someone who's tired of seeing the same old stories, stay tuned. This one's for you. Let's get into it. Well, that's exactly what Academy Award-winning actress Geena Davis did. After discovering this lack of representation in kids' programming, she decided to do something about it and launched the Geena Davis Institute on Gender and Media in 2004.
Meet Jane. See Jane. See her? She makes up half the world's population. But you wouldn't know it by watching kids' media. On screen, Jane is outnumbered by a ratio of 3 to 1. When she is there, a lot of time it's purely as eye candy. And girls everywhere are watching. On average, over 7 hours a day. If they see Jane, it's with little to say, few career options, and even fewer aspirations. But we can change. Meet Jane. See Jane? She has half the world's population. She has important things to say. And she can be anything she wants to be. But to empower girls, we need to see Jane. SeeJane.org. If she can see it, she can be it.
Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm thrilled to be with you. So thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Now, your background spans from media marketing and advocacy. What moment in your career shaped your passion for media equity?
Well, I would say, like many of us, I always really enjoyed watching movies and TV, and I always had a passion for that. And then I was very fortunate that I had a chance to have some internships early on in my career, and that led me to want to pursue, that avenue, which I was able to do for a number of years. So I was very, fortunate from that standpoint.
Awesome. Now, can you walk me through of how the industry is right now in terms of Hollywood and the media?
Well, there's many things that have happened. There's the business of show business, which has been greatly contracted because of the pandemic and also the strikes. And so that has caused a lot of consolidation, less buyers of content.
Do you think because of those challenges, that's an impact on how women in the media is being perceived too? Like what's more into that? Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we did achieve parity when it came to female lead characters back in 2019 and 2020 in terms of the highest rated Nielsen Children's Show and the largest grossing family films out of the US. And then when the pandemic hit and the strikes hit, those numbers kind of dropped somewhat. And so we'll just have to see what happens, with the industry. In terms of our partners, they're still very supportive and very focused on making stories that are inclusive and that reflect the very audiences that want to watch, the content, and are supporting, nurturing, that next generation of content creators.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that I know the institution have done is made one of the TV shows, Mission Unstoppable, which is a STEM-based TV show on CBS. What are some other steps that the Institute is doing to combat or show representation in different communities?
Well, for us, it's always been about the data and providing data to the business leaders and decision makers who are developing content, making decisions on what to invest in. And there's a social imperative, and a business imperative. If you are creating content that is reflective, of our society, audiences want to see themselves and see their stories told on screen, and are more inclined to go see it or go watch it. So one, it's being relevant to what's happening in our society, and the other is just being more astute when it comes to the business.
Now, what is some of the interesting findings, or what is something interesting that you guys found at the institution?
Well, I would say just the disparity in terms of the representation, especially if you look at it from an intersectional lens. Those numbers start to become very, glacial, and in some cases, hard to measure. One interesting statistic that we found is in children's programming. A lot of young children's programming is animated. And what we found is that when there was a human-like female animated character, there was gender balance. We saw almost 50-50 in terms of male animated characters to female animated characters. But in the same animation, if the character was a talking animal or a tree or a mushroom, the default was mostly a male voice character. And so we see such intent when it comes to kind of a human character, but we need to see that carry over when it's not, a human character as well, and to hear, more female, voices. So that definitely has been, surprising. We have consistently seen that female characters are 2 to 3 times more likely to be sexually objectified, wearing sexually revealing clothing, and that type. So that's something that has been pretty much so a consistent drumbeat the whole time that we've been doing our research.
Oh, interesting. And I also remember from our previous conversation that, like, at a young age, for females in general, like, it's important to show the representation. I think that's why, like, in STEM, like, young girls not really exposed to it until they see it showed on TV or movies. Is that one of the reasons why you guys heavily do STEM too?
Well, our work in STEM came out of a comment that former President Obama made back in, I think it was 2008, you'd have to fact check me, when he said that we were, as Americans, were falling behind in the technology revolution and the science revolution because our children weren't pursuing STEM education and STEM careers. And that led us to really look at not only if a female character is present, but do they have some type of job? Do they have some type of agency? If so, are they shown as a leader? And we wanted to look at this thing called Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, which the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US doesn't have a category for that. And so we looked at life sciences, we looked at mathematics, we looked at computer science, we looked at engineering, and mapped those against what were the characters that were portraying those roles, how many of them were there, and what were they doing. And that's how we started to look into it, because it is very important.
Yeah, it's very important. Now, can you tell us more? Like in one of your speeches, you mentioned a no blame, no shame policy. Can you tell us more about what that is and why is it significant?
Well, we look at ourselves as collaborators, and we look at ourselves to be supportive of our global media and entertainment partners. And if we're consulting with them and we're working with them to improve on-screen representation, we're not going to shame and blame them publicly as well. So you have to kind of pick what side of the what pathway you want to take, and we want to take a pathway that's more collaborative and inclusive versus exclusive.
Interesting. Now, what are some of the ways can the audience or people that's in the entertainment industry support or push the narrative, or just help the Geena Davis Institute?
Well, one way is by following us on social media at GeenaDavis.org. We also have a free newsletter, which you can sign up for on our website. And also, no donation is too large. We have a wonderful annual membership that allows you to attend our events. It also gives you access to over a decade's worth of on-demand video presentations, panel discussions that we've done. So there's a lot of ways to get involved.
Awesome. And besides the research, what are other things that the Institute done besides like the Mission Unstoppable and finding data to support women and the disparities in media?
I mean, pretty much so. Our focus is on research and using that research to help the global media and entertainment industry kind of reimagine and transform how they're telling stories on screen. That's really what we do. And then we extend that to professional development, presentations. We will convene people to come together to hear our research and learn kind of best practices that they can take back with them to their companies.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have. This was a wonderful interview. Thank you so much for being here. You was amazing. And if you guys listening and tuning in, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you, Crystal.